Talmud teaches that there are 10 hard things in life, 10 hard things that were created in this world. Each one was stronger and tougher than the one before it. Rabbi Judah taught that a mountain is strong, but iron which is stronger bores through it. Iron is strong, but fire melts it. Fire is strong, but water extinguishes it. The list goes on, there are 10, and it concludes with, wine is strong, but sleep drives it off. And death is stronger than them all. There's nothing stronger than death, the Talmud teaches. But, it says, tzedakah can save a person from death. Tzedakah is usually translated as charity, and it's considered here so strong it can save a person from death. But the meaning of the word tzedakah is deeper than just charity. Its Hebrew root tzedek means to be pure, to be just. And at its core, tzedakah is really about shaping the world to be more pure and more just. Seeing tzedakah as a salve for death, then, is less about monetary contributions to any organization than it is about the commitment to making the world a more livable place. By committing ourselves to our loved ones' tzedakah priorities, we keep them alive. The sages of the Talmud may have meant this more mystically in their view that tzedakah could actually forestall death, but I choose to interpret this teaching to mean that tzedakah overcomes death by making the world more livable, building a world that is infused with our loved ones' values and hopes long after they're gone. In my family, we remember my grandmother, Neilah, for her unwavering spirit of hospitality. She opened her home and her life more than anyone I know. She opened her home to an awe-inspiring range of people, exchange students, immigrants, temple members, family members we knew and those we didn't. She embraced and welcomed everyone. I and in my family, we remember her. We do our best to imitate this kindness in our days so that an open worldview and our hospitality is connected directly to her. And it especially conjures her when we pump ourselves up with this mantra, be like Neilah, be like Neilah. Living out her sense of justice keeps her alive, and we remember her. In the face of loss, the notion of tzedakah being stronger than death has the power to keep one's memory alive. In his book Zachor, there's a scholar, Yosef Chaim Yerushalmi, who writes, when we say that a people remembers, we're actually saying that a past has been actively transmitted to the present generation and that this past has been accepted as meaningful. At Yizkor, we accept the past as meaningful. Our remembrance affirms that where there is absence, there was once life. In just a few days, we'll begin celebrating the festival of Sukkot. Originally, when the temple in Jerusalem was still standing, shaking the lulav took place there on all 7 days of the holiday of Sukkot, while out in the rest of the country, beyond the temple, the lulav was taken and shaken only once. But once the temple was destroyed, our rabbinic ancestors decreed that the lulav should be taken everywhere for all 7 days, a practice that we continue to this day. Why make this change? Zecher lemikdash, our sages teach. Zecher lemikdash means in remembrance or in commemoration of the temple. The temple was no longer standing, though our sages in their wisdom enacted something so that we would remember what it was like when the temple stood and when it received pilgrims who came from all over the world. In the absence of the temple, we as a people began to remember that time by carrying on a practice from it. Zecher lemikdash, in commemoration of the temple, remembering the temple, the lulav was brought to the people so they could remember what was lost, mourning it, but also remembering it and thus reinvigorating it. It's important that among the living we adopt practices, ideas, recipes, songs that commemorate the dead. In his book, Unfinished Rabbi, Arnold Jacob Wolf wrote that commemoration brings back the absent and makes it live again. And so here at Yizkor, we focus the heart towards remembering our dead by choosing to live in ways that commemorate them. And when it's difficult to do so because of hurt and strife that was caused, we choose to remember anyway. Because in remembering, we bring about new life for ourselves and beyond ourselves in our communities and in our world. Yerushalmi, the author of Zachor, the book I mentioned earlier, which means remember, he also wrote that a people forgets when the generation that now possesses the past, that's us, does not convey it to the next. And so at Yizkor, we choose to remember so that we don't forget. And we ask God to grant us the insight. We turn to our families and our loved ones and those that knew our loved ones. We turn to them in order to remind ourselves that we should remember. We remember so that a pure sense of justice can flourish through the world. Yehi zichronam baruch. In remembering them, we bring about blessings.